This is a stitch that I got from one of my crochet books. I'll put a link in the description box to this book that I got on Amazon just in case you're interested in purchasing it. It does have a lot of really good patterns in it. So when I started to make this pattern, I got a couple of rows in and it just did not look right to me. So I ended up changing the pattern just a little bit. So on this row, it has 2 slip stitches at the end of the row, and I felt that that did not look right to me. So I only put 1 slip stitch at the end of that row. So that changes your initial foundation number for the pattern. This is using the pattern in the book, and you can see how one side, the flat part, is about 2 stitches wide, and the other side it's only about 1 stitch wide, and I didn't like the way that that looks. So I'm gonna take one of those stitches out at the end of the row. I'm gonna be using just some leftover yarn that I have. It's mercerized cotton, and you need scissors and a crochet needle, and I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 38. You can chain any even number, and this is different foundation numbers than the book had. For row 1, starting in the second chain from the hook, and I'm going to go into the back bump. This just makes the foundation chains not loosen up as much. I'm going to put a single crochet in all stitches across the row. And I have 37 single crochets. You should have 1 less than your foundation chain. For row 2, chain 1, turn your work, slip stitch into the first stitch. This is where it's different than the book because the book has 2 slip stitches, or a slip stitch in the first 2 chains, and I'm only doing 1. Don't make your slip stitches very tight. And then the next stitch is going to be a treble. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. If you want to practice the treble stitch, I do have a video that's just on that, and I will link that in the description box. Repeat the pattern of slip stitch and treble until you get to the end of the row, and the last stitch in the row will be a slip stitch. Just something to note when you are doing this pattern and you're doing the slip stitch treble stitches, the pattern of the fish scale that you want to show is going to be on the opposite side of where you're working. So if you are working this pattern in the round, you need to be aware of that you will need to turn your work and make sure that you're working this particular row where your pattern will show on the outside of your project if you're working in the round. It is not a reversible pattern. So this side is flat and the other side is where the pattern shows. So in the round, make sure that your row 2 is where you want it to show on the outside. For row 3, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. We're going to skip the first stitch, which is the slip stitch that you just ended your row with. And then the next stitch is the treble stitch, and that is going to be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then repeat that pattern. Skip that slip stitch and then 2 single crochets in the top of the treble stitch. And repeat that all the way to the end of the row, and the last stitch in the row you're going to put a single crochet. The last stitch in the row is the slip stitch that you started with, and that is where you're going to put your single crochet. That is the end of row 3. And the rest of the pattern is just a repeat of row 2 and 3. And again, I just want to say, don't make your slip stitches too tight or your pattern is not going to look right and your project will not lay flat. You can see how one side is flat and the other side has your pattern that sticks out from the treble stitches. And now I am at the end of my project, which I'm just making a washcloth. I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to tie it off with a knot and weave in my tail.